You're listening to From Stillness, an audiobook for a mind in need of quiet. The most expensive tax you'll ever pay isn't financial. It's not hidden in your paycheck or your bills. It's the tax on wisdom, the years you spend learning lessons you could have learned in minutes, if only someone had shown you sooner. We pay it in heartbreaks, wrong turns, missed chances, quiet regrets. We pay it every time we look back and think, I wish I had known that earlier. And maybe you felt that too, that moment when something finally clicks and suddenly all the struggle leading up to it feels unnecessary. You think, why didn't anyone tell me this? Why wasn't this obvious? The truth is, life isn't just hard. It's patterned, predictable. But those patterns stay hidden until you learn how to see them. Some people go decades without recognizing them. Others, just a few years. The difference isn't luck, it's perspective. It's not about knowing more. It's about knowing the right things and applying them at the right time. It's like we're all playing the same game, but some people got the instruction manual while others are learning by bumping into the walls. And the crazy part? That manual isn't secret. It's in books, conversations, moments of quiet clarity. But it's easy to miss when you're overwhelmed, distracted, or too convinced that struggle is just part of the deal. So if you've ever wondered why life feels harder than it should, this might be why. Because the cost of not understanding how life works isn't just wasted time, it's a life half-lived. Most people never question the way they see the world. They assume what they believe is simply true, not realizing that everything they notice, everything they choose, everything they believe is filtered through something invisible, their mental models. Your mental models are the internal maps that quietly dictate your reality. They determine what feels possible, what you pay attention to, what you dismiss before giving it a chance. They shape how you interpret problems, how you define success, and even how you experience time. But the strange thing? Most of us are completely unaware that these models even exist. We live inside them like fish live in water, completely immersed, yet blind to the substance around us. Ever wondered why two people can look at the exact same situation and see entirely different options? One sees a dead end. The other sees opportunity. That's not about intelligence, it's about perspective, and that perspective is shaped by mental models. Let me give you an example. Many people operate from a mindset of time scarcity, always rushing, always behind, always believing there's never enough. But what if that's not an objective truth? Just a mental model? What if instead of squeezing more into your day, you redefined how you related to time altogether? That's not productivity. That's philosophy. And philosophy shapes reality. The game changer is this. Once you start to upgrade your mental models, life starts offering you new possibilities. But here's the catch. You can't improve what you can't see. That's why reflection, honest feedback, and deliberate discomfort are essential. Because seeing your own blind spots often requires holding up a mirror you'd rather avoid. The choice is simple but not easy. You can keep operating from outdated patterns. Or you can start updating the operating system that's been quietly running your life. Because when you change the lens, the world itself begins to change. If time is money, then attention is gold. And yet most people treat their attention like spare change, scattering it across notifications, open tabs, background noise, endless scrolling. We guard our finances, our passwords, our front doors. But our attention, we give it away freely to anyone who asks. Here's the truth that took me years to fully grasp. It's not time you're running out of. It's focused attention. Because even if you had 12 free hours a day, if your attention is fractured, you'll feel like you got nothing done. And if your mind is constantly pulled in a dozen directions, you're not living, you're reacting. In school, we're taught time management. But no one teaches us attention management, the ability to focus deeply, to filter out noise, to protect the clarity that allows for real thinking. And in today's world, that skill has become a superpower. We live in the first era where the challenge isn't accessing information, it's filtering it. You don't need more input. You need to become radically selective about what you let in and why. Here's a shift that changed everything for me. Selective ignorance. The idea that what you choose not to consume is just as important as what you do. You don't need to read every headline. You don't need to be in every group chat. You don't need to have an opinion about everything. Treat your attention like an investment portfolio. Where you put it determines your return. And perhaps the most overlooked truth of all, wisdom doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from knowing the right things and giving them the space to take root. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, scattered, or mentally drained, pause and ask, where is my attention going? And is it aligned with who I'm becoming? Because in a world designed to steal your focus, reclaiming it is an act of power. Your life, in the simplest terms, is just a long trail of decisions. Where you live, who you love, what you pursue, what you walk away from. All of it. A result of choices both big and small, made consciously or unconsciously. And yet, no one teaches us how to make decisions. We learn trigonometry, but not how to choose a career. We memorize historical dates, but not how to evaluate the next step in a relationship. We're handed endless data, but rarely taught how to think through it. But the truth is, the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your decisions. Here are 3 shifts that changed how I approach every important choice. First, the 72-hour rule. When something feels urgent, give it space. Delay major decisions by at least 3 days. Not to procrastinate, but to break the trance of emotion. Clarity lives in the space between impulse and action. Second, second-order thinking. Most people ask, what happens if I do this? But those who make smarter choices ask, and then what? What are the ripple effects? What happens 6 months from now? What becomes inevitable if I take this path? Third, and perhaps most powerful, inversion. Instead of asking, how do I get what I want? Ask, what's currently preventing it? That single shift will surface blind spots you didn't even know were holding you back. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's to become someone who makes fewer rushed decisions and more thoughtful ones. Because indecision is still a decision. And over time, tiny shifts in decision quality compound into entirely different lives. So the next time you're unsure, don't just ask, what should I do? Ask, how can I think more clearly? Because when you upgrade your decisions, you upgrade your destiny. We live in a world where knowledge is everywhere. You can learn anything with a few clicks: productivity, mindset, finance, psychology. But here's the strange thing. Despite this abundance of information, real transformation still feels rare. Why? Because knowing something doesn't change your life. Doing something does. There's a hidden chasm between understanding and implementation, and most people never cross it. They read the book, highlight the quotes, nod in agreement, and then go right back to living the same way. It's not because they're lazy, it's because we've been conditioned to value insight more than integration. We celebrate the person who finishes 50 books a year, but barely notice the one who actually applies a single lesson and lives it daily. But here's the real breakthrough. Tiny, consistent actions are what create lasting change. Not grand declarations, not once-a-year breakthroughs. It's the person who meditates for 10 minutes a day that rewires their mind, not the one who goes to a silent retreat once and returns to chaos. And yet, most people try to implement change with nothing but willpower. That's like trying to drive a car by pushing it. Technically possible, but exhausting. Instead, what if you created a system? What if you designed your environment to make good decisions automatic, not heroic? Because the truth is, consistency beats intensity every time. If there's something you've known for years but never applied, ask yourself this. What's the smallest, most obvious action I can take today and repeat tomorrow? You don't need more inspiration. You need more follow-through. And it starts with doing one small thing, again and again, until it becomes who you are. We often admire people who seem effortlessly disciplined. The ones who wake up early, eat clean, exercise consistently, stay focused. And we assume they must have something we don't: stronger willpower, better genetics, more motivation. But here's the truth most never see. It's not about willpower, it's about environment. Willpower is like a phone battery. It drains throughout the day. You can't rely on it forever. But your environment, that's the charger. That's the design. That's the system that makes certain behaviors easy and others nearly impossible. Think about it. If your phone is beside your bed, you'll scroll. If junk food is in the cupboard, you'll eat it. If your workspace is cluttered, your mind will be too. It's not weakness. It's design. Successful people don't resist temptation more. They remove it. They don't push harder. They architect smarter. They create systems that support the behaviors they want, so doing the right thing becomes the path of least resistance. And here's a mindset shift that changes everything. Stop setting goals. Start building systems. Goals give you direction. But systems determine whether you move at all. Want to write a book? Don't obsess over finishing 50,000 words. Create a system where you write for 30 minutes every morning, no matter what. Because when your environment supports your identity, discipline becomes automatic. You don't have to try harder. You just have to make the right choice easier. So instead of asking, how can I be more disciplined? Try asking, how can I make the right choice inevitable? That's not laziness. That's leverage. Most relationship conflicts don't begin with loud arguments. They begin with quiet assumptions, expectations we never voiced, needs we never named. And then, one day, something small tips us over. The dishes weren't done. They didn't text back fast enough. Someone raised their voice or didn't say thank you. But here's what I've learned. The fight is rarely about what it seems to be about. When someone gets upset about chores, it's rarely just about the chores. It's about feeling unappreciated. When someone gets defensive during a conversation, it's often about feeling misunderstood, not the topic at hand. We argue about logistics. But what we really want is to feel seen, respected, valued. The root of so many conflicts is simple. We expect others to follow rules they didn't know existed. We expect them to read our minds, to know what hurts us, what uplifts us, what we're silently hoping for. And when they don't, we don't clarify, we resent. But here's the truth. Clarity is kindness. Unspoken expectations are just premeditated disappointment. The relationships that thrive aren't the ones with zero conflict. They're the ones where people are willing to say, hey, I need this, or when this happens, I feel that. And more than words, it's the emotional residue we leave behind that shapes the bond. People don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. So, if you want better relationships, don't just improve your communication. Improve your emotional awareness, learn to name your needs, and most importantly, stop assuming. Because connection isn't built on perfection, it's built on honesty. Most people pursue success with the best of intentions. They work harder, follow the rules, chase what others say works. But in doing so, they unknowingly fall into a trap. The very things they believe will lead them forward are often the things holding them back. This is the success paradox. We obsess over getting it right. We polish. We perfect. We hesitate. But here's the cost. While you're fine-tuning version 1.0, someone else is already testing version 0.5, getting feedback, growing, adjusting. Perfectionism doesn't prevent failure. It prevents progress. The second paradox? We look for blueprints, follow the steps formulas for how others made it. But in a world that rewards originality, copying rarely leads to real success. True progress doesn't come from imitation. It comes from extracting principles, then adapting them to your own context. And here's one of the most overlooked truths of all. The most successful people aren't just great starters. They're strategic quitters. They're not afraid to walk away from things that drain their energy, misalign with their vision, or no longer serve their next chapter. They know that persistence, while noble, becomes foolish when pointed in the wrong direction. We celebrate entrepreneurs who succeed on the 10th try. But what if they'd asked better questions on attempt 3? What if success came sooner, not through more effort, but through more clarity? The paradox is this. Success doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from thinking differently. From being willing to quit the right things, question popular advice, and define success on your own terms. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't to keep going. It's to stop, reassess, and choose a better path. Most people try to change their lives by changing their behavior. They start new habits, set new goals, follow new routines, but without realizing it, they're building on shaky ground because they're skipping the foundation, identity. Here's the truth most never hear. Lasting change doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from being different, not just acting different. When someone says, "I'm trying to eat healthy," that's effort. But when someone says, "I'm the kind of person who nourishes my body," that's identity. And identity always wins. Why? Because we act in alignment with who we believe we are. You don't need motivation to brush your teeth, it's just who you are. It's automatic, built into your self-image. That's the power of identity-based change. The moment you shift from "I should" to "I am," everything changes. Instead of saying, "I want to write a book," say, "I am a writer." Instead of, "I should work out more," say, "I am someone who honors their body." And here's something deeper. You are not your habits. You are not your past. You're not even your thoughts. You are the awareness behind all of that, the one watching, choosing, evolving. When this clicks, you stop being a slave to old patterns. You stop saying, "That's just how I am," and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" Because transformation isn't about fixing a broken version of you. It's about remembering who you've always had the potential to be. So if you want to change your life, don't just chase better outcomes. Start with a better identity, and let your actions flow from who you already are or who you now choose to become. We often treat growth like it's a scattered checklist. Fix your mindset here. Manage your time there. Build habits. Improve relationships. Find purpose. But real wisdom, the kind that changes how you live, doesn't live in isolated tips. It lives in integration. All the parts we've explored so far, they don't function in silos. They interact, they compound, they amplify one another. Your mental models shape what you see as possible. Your attention determines which inputs shape those models. Your decisions direct your path. Your implementation turns ideas into action. Your systems sustain those actions over time. Your relationships create the environment where all of this either thrives or withers. Your definition of success decides which outcomes you value. And your identity? That's the root. It determines whether you even allow yourself to change. When you see the connection, everything shifts. You stop collecting tips and start designing a way of living. You stop reacting to life and start constructing it, deliberately, intelligently, and with compassion. It's not about doing more. It's about doing less, better. It's about aligning every level of your life so that change isn't forced. It's inevitable. Integration isn't sexy. It's quiet, subtle, often invisible to others. But over time, it's the difference between scattered effort and effortless momentum. So if you've ever wondered why your knowledge hasn't led to transformation, maybe it's because the puzzle pieces were there, but they weren't yet connected. Now, they are. You don't need another list of life hacks. You don't need more productivity tips, another motivational quote, or one more book you'll never finish. What you need, what we all need, is to stop, to breathe, and to ask a simple question: what do I already know, but still haven't lived? Because the real cost in life isn't what you don't know, it's what you know but haven't applied. That's the wisdom tax, the price of delay, the weight of understanding that never turns into action. You've just explored some of the most powerful ideas life has to offer. The models in your mind, the way you use your attention, the quality of your decisions, the systems that carry your habits, the relationships you nurture, the identity you choose to embody. But none of it matters if it stays as content. Wisdom only becomes real when it moves through your hands, your words, your choices. So start small. Not with everything. Not with perfection. Just with one truth that hit you hardest. Maybe it's to honor your attention. Maybe it's to question your beliefs. Maybe it's to stop waiting for confidence and start behaving as if you already are who you want to be. Whatever it is, begin there. Because wisdom isn't what you've heard. It's what you've lived. And your next chapter isn't written by what you know. It's written by what you choose to do now.